When we mark an assessment, we subconsciously grade it against outcomes that we think make it good or bad. But that happens in our head and is usually inaccessible to students, which means we are building a wall between them and the marking process. What we should do is make this marking process more explicit for students. This will help them to know what it is that you think makes for a successful assessment, and it will help to remove a lot of doubt about exactly what to do in the assessment and reduce the number of questions about how to get a top grade. Another advantage of a well-developed rubric is that students can easily identify where they have issues and then self-regulate their attempts to address them, searching for the relevant section in the course. Well-designed rubrics also potentially serve a dual purpose. Currently, when an assessment is marked, feedback is provided in the form of comments, which are often duplicated, and this can take a long time. But what we can do is to use a coded rubric and effectively eliminate having to write as many comments, the rubric clearly pointing the student to our thoughts about their competence in that section of the assessment. Of course, there will be times when we need to write something more specific, but overall there could be a large reduction in time spent on writing comments. Another bonus of rubrics is the potential for greater consistency in marking across tutors. Currently, when multiple people mark student work, getting reliable consistency is notoriously difficult, with some outcomes being wildly variable. If markers use a rubric, the grading is more objective, which facilitates a fairer context for students and markers, especially for those who are inexperienced and new to marking. A further bonus of creating well-designed rubrics is that they are reusable. Of course, the rubric is edited to improve it after iterations of its use, but year on year, lots of time in the marking process can be saved. But there are some limitations. Polanyi's comments imply that rubrics can make assessment a reductionist process. They can restrict student thinking to what's on the rubric and prevent them from seeing the forest for the trees. The ancient Indian parable of blind men and an elephant is a similar sentiment. The rubric can be seen as a tick box exercise, with students then complaining to tutors that their grade is insufficient as they did address the elements indicated. But this argument can be prevented. This first approach gives you some flexibility, especially if students respond to the assessment in ways that you weren't expecting. The second is similar in vein. The subjective descriptions give you some room to validate your decisions, although it should be noted that this subjectivity is where rubric critics see the largest validity issue. The final complaint is how long it takes to design a good rubric. But overall, when we think about these costs versus the benefits of using rubrics, compared to tutors simply marking from their heads, it appears that using rubrics comes out way on top. In this video, I argue that there are 6 benefits for using a rubric.